So it is the 14th of October, Happy Hastings Day, which is the anniversary of the Battle of Hastings in 1066. So that's what, 944? No, that can't be right. No, maybe. No. 64? Anyway, 1066 minus 2, no. Right, yes, I just checked my sums. 956. Adding. Cannot, well, it was subtracting, wasn't it? So that's where I was going wrong. Anyway, Happy Hastings Day. Oh, whoops, sorry. So let's have a little history lesson, why not? So the Battle of Hastings, in case you don't know, took place on the 14th of October 1066. The background behind it, so you had the Anglo-Saxon king Edward the Confessor. He was king for about 20-something years, which is probably quite a long reign for about that time. And he died at the beginning of 1066. Slight aside, his father was Ethelred the Unready. One of the best king names out there. Right, so Edward the Confessor didn't have any children. I imagine he had a few, various relatives around because, kings marry other royal people anyhow. Now his mother, I believe, was Norman. Normandy at the time was a separate duchy independent of the rest of France. So he was a cousin to William, Duke of Normandy. But when he died, Harold Godwin was made king. I'm not sure if he was related to Edward the Confessor, but whichever, he was chosen as the best successor. However, William of Normandy went, "Oi!" Because he claimed, whether correctly or not, don't know, that Edward the Confessor had, let's just call him Edward. Edward had promised him the throne, because they were sort of cousins or something, and he also said that Harold Godwin had agreed to support his claim. And Harold obviously went, "No, I didn't." So there was that clash for the throne. Meanwhile, Harold, who was Harold Hardrada, who was the King of Norway, also decided he would quite like the throne. Another aside, this is the throne of England, not of Britain, because Britain wasn't a thing then. I mean, as a country, anyway, countries were separate at the time. So yes, Harold Hardrada got his Viking mates together and invaded up north, Yorkshire way, because that was, I guess, the nearest crossing. So the English army trooped on up, had a fight, can't remember where, which they lost, and then they had another fight, which was the Battle of Stamford Bridge. That was quite near York. Excuse The English won that. Well done. But in the meantime, William had got together his Norman mates, and they had packed up all their stuff and sailed across the channel, and they landed quite near Pevensey, which is a little way up the coast from here. The place where they landed is now called Norman's Bay. Obviously it wasn't then. And then they, started trekking inland. Now, the English did get wind of this, so they had to basically leg it all the way down the country from York, and try to collect more people to fight as they went. So they trekked down here, and the two armies met outside Hastings, Battle of Hastings, Senlac Hill, I think, specifically. And because we're really inventive with our naming conventions around here, the place where they met is now called Battle. Normans land in Norman Bay, have a fight in Battle. Another aside, there used to be a really good yarn shop in Battle called the Battle Wool Shop, and more than once when I had a visitor and I said, let's go to the Battle Wool Shop, they're like, does it sell wool for battles? No, it didn't, but it did have a really good selection and they were lovely. Lady retired, so it's closed. Right, back to the Battle of Battle. Yeah, so on the 14th, the two sides went bah. They didn't do that. Yes, the battle happened. The Normans won. Norman conquest, go. And that was the end of the Anglo-Saxon kings. Ta-da! And now we have fireworks. They didn't have fireworks at the battle. Maybe that would have had a different outcome, Right. Yes. So there we go. That was our history lesson for the day. Hope that didn't bore you too much. I learned this about 20 times when I was at school. And then when I went to university, not in Hastings, I did it again. I know all this. I'm from there. They don't let us get away with not knowing about that, I can tell you. Okay. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah. Fast forward 956 years and the government is once again kind of falling apart. Yay. Oh dear. Yes, that's a complete disaster. There's an awful lot of, oh, we're going to stick with this, we're going to stick, oh, actually, so maybe not. Because it was a really stupid idea to start with, whatever the thing was. And then Kwasi Kwarteng, the Chancellor today, was like, oh, I'm going to stay Chancellor forever and ever and ever. And then an hour later he was recalled from New York, where he was doing some, oh, what was it? I don't know, some kind of international financial thingamy. Yeah, he got dragged back early and sacked. Which, if you've been paying any attention to British politics, and there's no reason why you should, yeah, you'd already know, because once again, this is going to take a while to go up. No popping. Right, yeah, so that happened. Bye-bye, Kwasi. I guess we'll see how that progresses. It's not going well, is it, the old government? Right, onto something a bit more nitty. Very exciting. I have been chosen to take part in a test knit, and it is, I will put a picture up here because I don't have the pattern yet. I have to join the thingy and get it downloaded, but obviously by the time I put this up there I will have the pattern. Yeah, there it is, I'm sure. Yes, so this is the Jetson Mitts by Jo Shaw of Hardy Barn Designs. They are a colourwork pattern, and I have not done any colourwork, oh, I don't know, even must be a good 15 years. I think the last thing I did was a pair of socks, and they were like a zigzag colourwork, intarsia, whatever you call it, stranded, there we go, pattern, and I got them way too tight and they ended up like about this wide, which would have been fine for a child's sock, except I'd knitted them, you know, for the length of my feet, which is still not very long because I've got size 4 feet. But anyhow, didn't go well, and I haven't done any colour work probably since about then, apart from, you know, some like slip stitch things, but I haven't done any stranded colour work knitting, and this is what these are. So obviously for the test, she wants, you know, people of different skill levels and experience and all that, so I guess it was useful to have someone who's a, you know, experienced knitter but inexperienced with colour work. Anyhow, so I am looking forward to this. They look, well, if you've just seen the picture, they look really cool. And now I just have to decide what yarns to use. Great. This is always something that I kind of struggle with. So my first thought was these, because when I got them even longer ago, lost my train of thought. When I got them, they were sold as a glove set. I think it's maybe about 60 grams in total. That may or may not actually be enough to do the gloves. But anyway, having looked at them, they might work, but I think this is kind of too strong. It might kind of overpower, because this would be the main colour, you know, the one that's for the cuffs, and then the pattern bit. I don't know, I think that might overpower a bit because it is a bit too strong. I will use them one day. And then my other thought is I've got this big bag of, oh sorry, just disturbed the cat as well. These are my yarn part skeins, leftovers basically, from socks, but well, as I said, I only have size 4 feet, so it only takes me about 60 grams to make a pair of socks. Maybe I should just use those for socks. Yeah, so obviously those are all wound up already, and there would be enough of those, but it's trying to pick again the colour thing. So I was wondering about, I mean, I thought this would be a good one because that's quite a nice, you know, bright, distinct thing, but I don't know what I'd put it with. Not really. Definitely not. But this is the other sort of single colour. No, obviously not that. I did think maybe that, but again, I don't think that's enough contrast. Not really. Then I've got this, which isn't a leftover. It's one of the balls of yarn that I have already, well, as you can see, caked up. So pretty. I always forget how pretty this one is. I'll definitely use that for my next pair of socks if I don't use it for this, because I mean, not really again. So at the moment I am leaning towards actually using these two. That is Drops Flora and Drops Nord. Have I got them the right way up? Yes, I have. Very similar yarn content. One of them is, I can't see because I've got my distance glasses on, but one of them is alpaca wool and one of them is alpaca wool nylon, so very close, just slightly different proportions and etc. They feel basically the same. And yeah, I'm not quite sure how stranded knitting goes with the fuzziness. I'm not sure if it's good or not, so I'm going to check it. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think I'm leaning here, and I guess I will tell you tomorrow or something, because I want to get these cast on tomorrow for a swatch, because not having done any colour work and having balked it last time, yeah, I really do need to do the swatch and see how, well, A, how they look, and you know, B, probably slightly more, well, just as importantly, make sure that yes, make sure that I've got the right gauge. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure how long that's going to take me to get done, because also I need to make sure that it all comes out even and all that, and get used to knitting strandedly. Yeah, I know last time I did it, I did the thing where you hold one in one hand and one in the other and you do the two different knitting things, but I haven't knit the left-handed way for, again, like 15 years or so. I'll give it a crack, we'll see how it does. Okay, I think that's it for now. Yeah. Thank you for listening to my rambling, and I will be back again